Just like the Twin Towers, most modern buildings are built with a high redundancy factor in terms of structural strength. For this reason, a series of preliminary explosions is normally needed in controlled demolitions to weaken the structure before the actual collapse can be induced. Obviously, in the case of the Twin Towers, it would not have been possible to set off the preliminary explosions all at once, just before the collapse. To make them less noticeable, it would have been wise to set them off at separate intervals, any time between the impacts of the planes and the collapse of the towers.
Federal agencies that were down there do believe that there was some sort of explosive device somewhere else besides the planes hitting.
We had that big explosion from much, much lower. I don't know what on earth caused that.
We were just about to come out of the building. There was another blast, and all the lights went out, and this is what happened then.
The glass came down?
We didn't see we were still inside the building. All we heard was a big blast, and the whole volume of air moved.
Doctors treating the injured here say most of the 100 patients treated so far are suffering not just smoke inhalation and eye damage, but fractures. Many of them have told the doctors that they were responding to the attack on the South Tower when they were suddenly trapped by the second explosion in the North Tower, and many of the fractures they're suffering come not from fallen debris, but from the concussive force of the explosion, which slammed them against walls, knocked them to the ground, or slammed them up against their own ambulances.
It was a secondary explosion, probably a device either planted before or on the aircraft that did not explode until an hour later.
I spoke with some police officials moments ago, Chris, and they told me that they have reason to believe that one of the explosions at the World Trade Center, aside from the ones that may have been caused by the impact of the plane with the building, may have been caused by a van that was parked in the building that may have had some type of explosive device in it. So their fear is that there may have been explosive device planted either in the building or in the adjacent area.
Another explosion at the World Trade Center. Apparently, bombs may have been placed at the base of those buildings.
The FBI most likely thinks that there was a car or truck packed with explosives underneath the buildings, which also exploded at the same time and brought both of them down.
Now, that's the first time we're hearing that. So 2 planes and explosives that were in the building, is that correct?
That is the working theory at this point.
Again, there was a third explosion. It's unclear what caused it, whether it was a bomb or whether the first plane that crashed into the tower had somehow been booby-trapped with a bomb that was timed to explode later after the crash had occurred.
A secondary device, that is another bomb going off. He tried to get his men out as quickly as he could, but he said that there was another explosion which took place. And then an hour after the first hit here, with the first crash that took place, he said, there was another explosion that took place in one of the towers here. So obviously, according to his theory, he thinks that there were actually devices that were planted in the building.
Then we have the accounts from those who heard explosions moments before the South Tower collapsed.
As the first tower came down, there were a series of explosions. It was like boom, boom. You could hear the echoes of the explosions echoing off the different buildings.
The detonation started, and they went boom, boom, boom. They were a little less than a second apart.
And then all of a sudden, 3 tremendous explosions, and everything started coming down.
I heard explosions, 3 thuds, and turned around to see the building we just got out of, antenna tip over and fall in on itself.
In this shot by ABC television, the initial explosion can also be heard. Listen carefully after the words FBI agents.
This is as close as we can get to the base of the World Trade Center. You can see the firemen assembled here, the police officers, FBI agents. And you can see the 2 towers, a huge explosion now raining debris on all of us.
The explosion can be heard even better by separating the stereo track of the microphone from the one of the camera.
Here, the police officers, FBI agents. Here, the police officers, FBI agents.
Tower number 1, the second tower collapsed. It was the exact same series of detonations.
Then there was a tight sequence of detonations during the collapse of the South Tower. which many described as firecrackers.
You heard a big explosion before the building fell?
I saw it as it was happening, and it sounded as if you had 100 of those little black cat firecrackers and you lit them all off at once. That's what it sounded like. It sounded like the finale of the 4th of July.
It looked as if somebody put TNT all throughout that building.
Floor by floor, instead of popping out.
It was like, if they had detonated. If they were planned to take down a building. Boom, 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 boom.
All the way down. I was watching it and running. Floor by floor, instead of popping out.
It was if they had detonated. If they were planned to take down a building. Boom, 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 boom.
All the way down.
All of a sudden, it was like bang, 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 like bullet shots.
I saw from the corner, boom, 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 boom. Just like 20 straight hits. Just went down. And as the bombs were going, people just started running, and I sat there and watched a few of them explode, and then I just turned around and I just started running for my life, because at that point, the World Trade Center was coming right down. From the corner, boom, 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 boom. The whole building just went, and as the bombs were going, people just started running, and I sat there and watched a few of them explode.
The only way that a building can accelerate as it collapses is by having pre-engineered, precisely timed, and precisely placed explosives. In other words, controlled demolition.
We found no evidence for explosives.
It did not collapse from explosives.
And they said, no, we did not look for explosives.